Welcome, everybody. Welcome back, hopefully. Today, we're going to spend some time discussing a more in depth topic from my first episode, episode number one, for leaders, whether or not leaders are born or made. So, in this particular podcast, we're going to talk about made leaders and specifically self-made leaders. And the topic of this is called What to Do If You Are Not a Natural Leader. So let's get into it. So you've sat down, you've reflected on your leadership capability, and you've decided that you're just not where you want to be, where you think you should be, and you're determined that you want to develop that skill, and you're not sure how to go about it, what to do, and you just feel like it just doesn't come naturally. You may even be a little frustrated with how you go about things, but I've got some great news. Leadership is a skill. It can be learned for a lot of people. Not everybody. Not everybody is predisposed to basketball, international banking, deep sea fishing. But leadership is a skill. And like I discussed in the last episode, some people are kind of, you could say, born with that skill. They're just more predisposed to it. They're naturally better at it. Some people are a Jordan. Some people are a bench warmer. It's just the way it goes in life. A lot of people strive to be a good leader, and they struggle at it their entire career. Some people pick it up along the way. Some people just never really get good at it, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own ability, right? This isn't a speech on everybody getting a participation trophy, though. We just need to try to strive for what we want in life, and if you want to become a higher up in this industry, we call those leaders in the industry for a reason. They at some point were either picked up the skills along the way, they were naturally predisposed to being a good leader, or they fought tooth and nail, they learned the skills, they picked them up, they spent the time in the industry, and after a while, it's like everything else you practice, it became, inherent into your DNA. So one of the things we spoke about in the last episode again was training. It's one of the most helpful ways to pick up leadership skills. And what you need to pull out of training is more of a tool. Again, I'll talk over and over and over about tools in your toolbox. Imagine that you're a mechanic and you show up for work, and a Dodge truck comes pulling in, needs an oil change. You've got to take the plug off of the oil pan. You go and open your toolbox. Not a single wrench in that toolbox, right? Or the wrenches you have are the wrong size. Leadership has a box of tools that you pull from, and you have to be able to recall those tools in an instant, and you do it every day and you don't even know you do it. So training, taking the same course over and over and over. Again, I've spoke about this. I've changed companies a few times, and even the companies I'm at, if you're at a company long enough, you're going to have to take the same class every year, every 2 years, every 5 years, and it's really a refresher. And refreshers are great. That's one of the best ways, like I said, to really imprint this type of skill into your psyche. So it's not always a bad thing, right? Training seems like a pain in the butt, but Sometimes you can do it at night, sitting on your couch. Throw your headphones on, grab your iPad, sit through a 30-minute class, fulfill that check mark, from the company. They require the company I work at now. They require a minimum of 20 hours a year of additional training outside of the stuff that you get day to day. And but some of them are pretty cool, right? They send you off to company training. We have several offices around the country. For instance, if there are chances you could get sent to Hawaii, you can get sent to Phoenix. Don't knock Phoenix. Phoenix is hot, it's dry, but they have more golf courses per capita than any city in the United States. So if you like to play golf, see if you can get you a gig in Phoenix. Get to stay at a nice resort, beautiful location, hotel, some cushy beds. I've traveled since 2011. Let me tell you, not all hotels have cushy beds. Not many. But so there's a lot of ways in training for you to pick that up. Don't look at it as a negative. The more times you reinforce something, the more often it becomes just the day to day. It's inherent. It'll become like muscle memory. Archery, karate, fishing, that type of thing, stapling. So, again, we talk about one of the other best ways that I have actually employed over my years in the industry is finding somebody that you look up to. You've observed them several times, and you're like, wow, that individual, that person can really keep a meeting on track. That's one of the hardest things to do, right? And that's a skill. It's a leadership skill, definitely, but it's a skill all on its own. So what you do without even thinking about doing it, like an externally influenced leader, is that you start paying attention. You take mental notes. You may even take physical notes about strategies and ways that person uses during that meeting to keep it on track and to keep the discussion moving forward. So you look around your environment and you find people that have traits, leadership traits that you're interested in learning and picking up, and you should actively pursue that person. Go in their office and sit down. Let's say that you have a project engineer on the site, and she's the one in charge of running the owner, architect, contractor meetings for the project manager. And she's just fantastic at it, right? She keeps up with the agenda, goes over all the topics, allows everybody to speak in their own turn, make sure everybody's comfortable with what they've discussed before moving on. If somebody starts to get sidetracked, too many side conversations, talking about fishing trips, she's really good about pulling that conversation back to the meeting and pushing it forward without, just really fantastic at the meeting. Go to her and set some time apart from your other daily activities to spend 30 minutes and ask her how she does that. Like, what it seems natural. And she may tell you, no, it's not natural. Project manager I worked with 2 years ago ran his meetings this way. And I took notes and I started implementing the stuff that he did. And the way I run meetings is all attributed to him. And, that project manager may not have picked that skill up all on his own either. Maybe he had external influences and looked up to somebody that taught him a lot of the skills. And you take those things and you absorb the stuff that you do well already, and you pick up the things that you understand that you don't do well, and you incorporate those into your style. Not everybody's style is the same. Some people don't like to keep dry meetings. I'm one of those people. I like to keep it light, a little extra light sometimes, I've been told. Excess of personality. Can't help it. So go up and ask that project manager, that vice president, that senior superintendent, one of the other project engineers, one of the other project managers, your safety rep. We have an excellent safety rep on the project I'm on now. Very good public speaker. Our general superintendent's fantastic, right? So learn from those people. Next, let's talk about mentors, people that that you identify that have more than just a couple of those traits that you want to pick up. Somebody that's been in the industry a while and they have a vast variety of experiences and exposures over the years. Somebody who understands the finances and the office politics and how to negotiate, how to talk with your upper leadership, how to approach people that you lead, those type of things. Identify, see if you can find one, max maybe two people in the industry that have those traits that you've identified, and approach them. Ask them to be your mentor. I've been asked that twice in my career, just out of the blue. I didn't approach these individuals, and let me tell you, that is one of the most humbling experiences ever, when you have somebody young in the industry come to you and say, I want you to be my mentor. That word holds so many other connotations to it, references to how that person really looks at you as a professional and as a fellow team player. So, for instance, they can have a bold personality, something that you identify you're a little less outward going, and you want to pick up some of the take charge that they're good at, or some of the strategies about pulling cooperation out of somebody that didn't necessarily walk into the room ready to cooperate. And set up some times. Don't make this a, well, we'll get together soon. Make it once every 2 weeks, once a month, once a week. Sit down and try to make it in a setting where you can be a little more open, have discussions. Go sit at Starbucks. Go have lunch together. That's always a big thing, right? Instead of taking time out of your work day, if you go spend some time at lunch, especially if you're not necessarily on the same project that person is. One of the mentors that I had was a vice president, and he was in our office briefly, worked with him for about 4 months, and then he was transferred to Phoenix. Now plays a lot of golf. See what I mean? He and I have a Zoom meeting probably 4 times in 6 months. So we probably have 8 meetings a year, and those are usually scheduled. We'll get together at that meeting and we'll decide, when we can meet the next time. He's kind of upper echelon, so his schedule changes a whole lot more than mine does at the project level. So make that concerted effort. Trust me, most people, when you ask them to be a mentor, I'd be surprised if they turned you down. That is a massive boost in your that is a massive boost to your ego, in a good way. Hopefully it's a humbling boost in your ego, but I doubt you'd be turned down, let me tell you. And I would spend a minimum of, say, an hour with a mentor, and have an agenda. of yours and your own. And that your mentor should kind of understand what you've been doing, your experiences, your exposures, that type of thing over the last month. Let's say you meet once a month for an hour, and they've got to know what you've been up to. If they don't know what you've been up to, it's kind of hard to help guide. And really, that's what a mentor is. It's a guide, somebody who makes professional suggestions. So make sure you relay, hey, I've been working on structural RFIs this month. I didn't really know much about it. I got with one of the other more seasoned project engineers. They were explaining how to review structural shop drawings for rebar, let's say, structural steel, accessories. We're doing some concrete stuff. I was asking questions. I did this, I did that. So your mentor has an idea of, okay, Kevin is being proactive. He went and got with his senior PE. He asked questions, went through what he wanted to do, where he wanted to be, things that he saw he needed to pick skills up on. And then your mentor is there to guide you. Let's say that you weren't being proactive, said, our assistant project manager gave me some structural submittals to review, and I had no clue where to start. So that's where the mentor comes in, and he says, okay, tell me about the other project engineers on the staff. Tell me about the APM and the project manager that you work with. And they kind of get the idea in the sense, and they kind of guide you. Okay, go talk to Patricia. Patricia, it sounds like she has had experience on past projects reviewing structural stuff. Go ask her for some help and assistance. Hey, Patricia, can you come in and spend 10 minutes with me? Let's skim through the submittal and give me the highlights of what I should be checking for and how I look that up with the drawings, other submittals, their subcontract, whatever you need, and then pick up some training. And that mentor is there to kind of understand Patricia's experience and guide you towards her to pick up that knowledge. Don't get caught up in trying to make everything literal or gospel. A mentor is there as a guide. They're not there to tell you exactly what to do step by step. If you're that type of individual, you're going to need to kind of back off and look more at the big picture. We'll go back to the same submittal. So a structure submittal. What's the big picture? I have to review the details according to the structural drawings, the contract drawings, and make sure that they match up. If there are any flagged questions, I need to make sure that I highlight those so that the structural engineer will see them. I need to find the things that are different in the two that they may not have called out. But we don't actually get into the nitty gritty of it. We're not spell checking the title block, that type of thing. If you know what I mean, there's detail and then there's too much detail. So that's what a mentor is there to do. It's only to kind of push you in the right direction and give you some ideas and suggestions. Now, what you do with them is like every other piece of advice. Sometimes, you grab it and say, wow, Patricia gave me some great insight. I'm going to go with it. Or like that doesn't make any sense. That conflicts with something else I was told. Maybe she didn't know that. I'm going to wad that piece of advice up, throw it in the round file. So just to recap, so if you're not a natural leader, what do you do? How do you gain those skills? You have to go out and look for people that have those skills. One thing you'll notice I didn't cover I didn't cover the seminars, I didn't cover the books, I didn't cover the TED Talks. If you'll go back to my episode 1, rewatch the very end of that episode. I get into that a little more detail. This is more of a face-to-face, on the job. Who can I go to? How do I pick up those skills, identify people that are real people that can help give me input and some training on these particular leadership skills. So, once again, thank you, everybody. And I want to let you know that episode 3 is coming out. Once again, this is a short series on the leaders as people and how do we become. Every leader is constantly becoming a better leader. They're always honing their skills. We'll go over this and other things, and a lot of you may get the reference. We're going to talk about ways to sharpen the saw, about how we actively become better leaders. So tune in. The next episode is going to be one of what you would think is going to be a boring subject, and it's not. It's knowing yourself as a leader, and that's very important. So I hope you enjoyed our time, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks, everybody.